what's start that over again. What's up, men of Brotherhood? I'm here with Matt Sullivan. If you didn't get to be at the breakfast this past Friday, I would highly encourage you to watch the replay of that. Matt and I got to talk a little bit about his story, what God has done in his life over the years. And man, it was really meaningful for a lot of people, very meaningful for me. Matt, your friendship, your life has meant a lot to me. This is a little supplemental thing that we wanted to do because we didn't get to finish our conversation. Yeah. I felt like we said what the Lord wanted us to say, but there was more to it, especially some practical stuff that I want us to get into. But one of the questions we didn't have time for me to ask you was just like, how long you been in law enforcement?
I've been in law enforcement I'm in my 19th year.
Dang, 19 years. Okay, so just tell us at least one crazy thing that you've seen being a highway patrolman.
Okay, so I get this question a lot, so I'm glad that you asked it. You may not understand really what you're asking.
I probably don't.
Because I've seen a lot of things in going on 19 years of being in law enforcement. I've seen a lot of things that people just aren't supposed to see.
Yeah,
I've seen semis explode while they're driving down the road. I've seen cows standing on the side of the road, literally licking the mile marker signs as we're driving by at 75 miles per hour. I've been chased by a bull. Yeah.
Do they teach you how to run from a bull in the academy?
No, not at all. No. I've been pepper sprayed. The story that just popped in my mind, I'm not going to tell.
You're right.
I've been involved in some
thinking
gross
probably
things.
some things you wouldn't be able to share on this YouTube video.
Yeah.
But, well, I'm sure you've seen a lot of crazy things, but on a little bit more serious note, in your work and with all that you have to deal with, a lot of troubled people, a lot of ugly things you have to see, where does your faith, where does Christ intersect? Like, where do you depend on Jesus on a regular basis in your work? Because I think as men, we can be tempted to like separate church and work or spiritual life and the rigors of the world. But I think you and I have both learned that we want to bring Christ into the work that we do. Where do you find opportunities to do that, or where do you need to do that?
So I think it's in the normal. I don't think there's anything that's too radical about any type of day that you walk into. I think you should be inviting Jesus into those days. And so in a lot of encounters, a lot of times I'll pull somebody over and they don't like being pulled over. Nobody likes being corrected in the moment. And I'll get a lot of attitude from some people. And on a second approach, a lot of times I'll walk up and I'll just say, all right, Jesus, what are we doing? And I'll be able to have a conversation with somebody. Sometimes it's just, here's what you did, have a good day. And sometimes I get a prompting of hey, what's going on today? I just feel like something else is going on. And I get some wild stories where I get to pray with people and have really good conversations with people. And they get to see me as not only a law enforcement officer, but as just a person.
Yeah, man, that's cool, Matt. And I know that just recently OHP shouted you out for helping a lady who was broke down on the side of the road, and you ended up getting to share the kindness of Christ with her. She ended up coming to our church, I think, a few times. And just, I think it'd be good for us to be reminded as men, ask for divine appointments in your day.
Absolutely.
Even in the places that you don't expect it, and see if God doesn't want to use you as a voice of encouragement, as a friend, an extended hand of friendship to somebody who needs it. Sometimes people go weeks and weeks and weeks without one word of encouragement or affirmation. And so I think it's good for us as men to look for those. We could talk about that for a while, but I don't want this video to be too long. So I kind of want to pick up where we were. You told a story at the very end of our conversation at the breakfast about being out in the garden with your wife, setting T-posts or something, and you kind of were in disagreement, and you were in a place in your life where you're like, I'm going to stop just being passive. I'm going to say how I feel, even if I don't know how she's going to take it. And it wasn't great at first, but when she came back around, she said, this guy that you're becoming, and I think all of us could relate in that nanosecond in your mind, you're like, here we go again. I've screwed up again. I'm not the husband that she wants me to be, whatever. But then she kind of shocked you by saying, I like this guy that you're becoming. That seems so counterintuitive that you would kind of not in a negative way, but kind of stand up for what you thought with your wife, knowing that she was in disagreement, but that she would come back around and say, that is a Matt that I'm looking for. That's the kind of husband I'm looking for. What do you think was behind that? Like, why do you think she reacted well to that versus the way you used to handle things?
Yeah, that's a good question. First off, I've asked my wife that.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't remember that at all. I remember fighting. I don't remember telling you that.
I don't remember telling you
she
that.
Does.
Like,
she
you did it, though.
Yeah. But I think really what was going on there is, I think we touched on it a little bit during that conversation, is that I didn't even respect myself. Mm-hmm. And so how can I expect anybody to respect me, especially somebody that's close to me and knows me well, if I don't respect myself enough to stand up for myself? Yeah. And so I think she started to see a lot of the things that she wanted in a marriage was a husband that would stand up for himself, that would be involved in the marriage, that wouldn't just blow everything off. And I think it was encouraging to her.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what I took from that, because I think I would see the same thing in Shannon, is a woman wants to be married. I know I use this phrase a lot. Forgive me. A woman wants to be married to a man of consequence.
Right.
A man who is unafraid, a man who has courage, a man who stands for what he believes in, that she can trust when the going gets tough. And I think even though in that situation, it was kind of you and her in a disagreement, she saw this strength in your will and a backbone that maybe in the past you'd kind of just surrendered that stuff to keep the peace.
Yes.
And I think a lot of us can learn from that. I mean, this is not a license that Matt and I are saying, go and get in an argument with your wife.
Yeah.
But that may not go well for you, but it is.
Tread carefully.
Yes. But it is, so much of what we talked about on Friday was about identity. Do you know who you are, and can you live out of who you are? What I didn't want us to miss, and it's the reason that we decided to do this video, was at the end of that conversation, we wanted to get into some practical steps.
Right.
Because it's one thing to like have this conversation about your story, and I think Jesus definitely uses our testimony. And I know it was encouraging to a lot of you, but like, okay, now what do we do with it? And you had said a couple things, and I just kind of want to read these, and then I want you to kind of unpack what you meant by this. And we'll throw these up on the screen here so you can take notes if you want. But one of the first takeaways that you talked about was this. I believe very strongly that you need a strong circle of men.
Yeah.
Why is that? Like, how has that made the difference in your life?
Well, so the way that it's made a difference in my life is just being able to have guys that I can call, and I can trust to respond to me, not because they need anything from me, just because we have a relationship. And the thing that I have found in these circles of men is that we are all going through very similar things. Yeah. I'm just going to be honest. I'm kind of surprised at the response that I've gotten from my talk on Friday morning. There have been a lot of guys that have reached out and said, I'm going through something similar. Yeah. But when I reflect on it, it shouldn't be that big of a surprise. But that's where I find that group of men is important, is to remind us that we are going through similar things and that we can count on each other as brothers to come to each other's aid. Yeah. One of the things that we say in my group of guys that we've done Wild at Heart with is that we link shields, and whenever you're at war, I'm at war.
Right. Yeah.
And so I think that that's very important to have allies that are willing to go to war with you.
Yeah, I think it's a Dan Allender quote. Maybe I can go find it. That he says, the goal of a godly man is to find like-minded kings and sign treaties.
That's it. Exactly.
And he says, when they rejoice, you rejoice. When they're at war, you're at war. Yes. And I love that. I love that quote.
I do too.
And you've done that. Like, and I'm a like-minded king with you. Right. That we're in. We're here for each other. And I think one of the things that I've seen happen in your life, and I want to encourage you guys with, is that maybe at the very beginning of some of this, you were leaning into a circle of men and a community of men that were helping draw you out.
Yes.
But as God has done that, now your circle of men, you're helping draw other men out. Yeah. And I do think that's the point of
I agree.
of Jesus-centered masculinity is not just that we would get better and healthier and stronger and feel better about ourselves and find our identity as sons. That's all great.
Yeah.
But that would ultimately result in something of great benefit to the people around us.
That's exactly right.
Other men, our wives, our children, our church,
yes.
where we work, our community. Like, this is what Jesus meant about where you go, you carry a light.
Right.
And I think as we step into those things, you're doing it in your life, I've been doing it in my life, we're able to go places and actually be a net positive
right.
to the people that are around us. And I think that's kind of the end goal of this. So yeah, if you don't have a circle of men, we have a lot of opportunities to do that
right.
at Church on the Move. And if you'll be proactive, I mean, get into a small group, jump into a mountain men team, come to a mid-sized group, start serving on a team.
Yeah,
like there's a lot of opportunities. And if you're going, I'm too busy, I don't have time for that, then you're going to miss out on a lot of what Matt and I have experienced in Christian community, which is we've gotten better for ourselves and for other people. The second takeaway, so get in a group. The second takeaway was this. You said that the number one thing you did right was just do your best to say yes. Yeah. You said, I just kept saying yes, whether it was something big or something small, to what I felt like God was inviting me to. Talk a little bit about that simple process.
Yeah. I started to recognize when God was trying to get my attention. Mm-hmm. There was a pattern to things. So mm-hmm. I mentioned whenever with Mountain Men that I had 3 different invites in the span of a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And I recognized that was God trying to get my attention.
Yeah.
And so whenever I started to see those patterns, I would just pay attention. Mm-hmm. And I would commit to saying, God, I don't know what it is that you want from me, but whatever it is, I want to be able to say yes. Mm-hmm. And let me know. Just almost, I know I'm not very bright. I know I don't always know when you're trying to talk to me. So you may have to be pretty direct with me, and he often is.
Yeah.
And so anytime that I felt like somebody would ask me to do something, I would step back and I would pray. Is this mm-hmm. something that you want me to do with you? Mm-hmm. And if it is, then the answer is yes.
Yeah.
And make it pretty plain to me that I need to say yes to this.
Yeah.
And so I did. And I
mm-hmm.
led groups, and I had conversations, and I stopped cars and would encourage people and whatever it was. And whenever you ask me to lead something and I feel like it's this is what God wants me to do, then I'm going to say yes.
Yeah. What I want to emphasize on that is I think as men who are trying to follow Jesus, so much more often the emphasis is on don't do stuff. Because we as men, it's like, stop drinking, stop looking at porn, stop getting angry and yelling at your kids. There's all this stuff to say no to. And I don't know that we spend enough time talking about the obedient yes, the simple obedient yes, that actually you can say no to a lot of things that will be helpful for you. If you're drinking too much and you stop drinking too much, that will be good for you. If you stop blowing up at your kids, that's a great thing.
Yeah.
But it can kind of end up being that we're always running away from something instead of running towards something.
Sure.
And what I liked about the way you said that was just like where you saw a simple, even if it was small, hey, that guy's speeding, that guy just ran the stoplight, pull him over and see what happened. Like the simple yes, or whenever I ask you, hey, would you lead a mountain man trip? And you're like, oh, okay, that it opened up these opportunities for you to use gifts that God's put into you to share with guys what Jesus had taught you, and it ended up being huge in helping them. And so I would just encourage you, great if you're cutting out of your life sin and the things that are hurting you, but what are you saying yes to? There ought to be some things that are a little scary.
Yeah, absolutely.
that you're saying yes to, because I'm fully convinced, I know you are too, like walking with Jesus is meant to be an adventure.
Right.
He said he came to give us life, but not just life to the full.
Right.
Capital L life.
Yep.
And that requires kind of going over the horizon and finding out what's over there.
Yeah.
And so anyway, what are you saying yes to? I hope you're in a circle of guys. And then even if it's a small thing, somebody said, hey, will you come volunteer with 180 or whatever? Sure. Would you lead a small group? Like, what are you saying yes to? Or maybe it's just, hey, talking to your wife and going, I think we ought to go to church. We haven't been in church in a long time. Yeah. Maybe that's what it is. Okay, I don't want this video to go too long, so I want to get to this third one. When we were talking, this was kind of a takeaway for me. You said you weren't created to just be a nice guy.
Yeah.
You were created to be a son.
Yes.
who has something to say and something to do. I know that part of, like, when you were really seeing what God was doing in your life, you said, I felt like I had something to contribute. I had something to share. And I do think that sonship involves purpose.
I agree.
So talk a little bit about that. Like, what has learning sonship meant to you? And then what has that caused you to do, to act?
So one of the things that I say to people is that names equal design. So if I say that that's a hammer, then you know exactly what that's going to be used for. You're not going to use it to try and drive a screw. You're going to drive a nail. And so whenever you start to understand that you are a son of God, so what does that mean? And part of that is going and finding that out. We're not going to be able to unpack all of that here, but if that's something that you know, then you should go seek for that. And in that process of seeking, I've figured out that I'm not supposed to be quiet, that I do have something to say. And so the identity that I had taken on for so very long was be quiet. Don't say anything. Don't have an opinion. So that's not what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to stand up and we're supposed to say things. You need to be careful about it, of course, and not speak out whenever you're not supposed to. But whenever you know that that's your time and that you've stepped into this, you've been qualified. You've been qualified to say something in that moment. Then you need to stand up and say something.
Yeah, and I know for you, and I do want to talk about this just for a second. For you, a big identity piece for you came through going on your first Wild at Heart retreat. And I'm excited to announce that we're starting to launch Wild at Heart retreats at Church on the Move. We've got a pilot retreat planned for this fall. Tell our Brotherhood why you think this would be a good thing for a guy to do in the next couple of years as we kind of build this. When they get an opportunity, what did it mean to you, and why would you say every guy's got to do this at least once?
There's so many things that happen in a Wild at Heart weekend. I don't want to oversell it, but at the same time, like, I didn't understand at all why I operated the way that I operated. I didn't understand how much of my story or how much of my life right now was impacted by the story that I'd lived up to that point. So it was a very good, it was a very good guidepost for, hey, this is where you're at right now. And I think you know that you need to move forward from here. So there's something for a lot of guys. I've had conversations with guys over the years of doing this where they said, this, I got a lot out of this. And then somebody else might say, I got a lot out of this. And a good friend of mine, I mentioned him, Neil Thomas, put a quote on there by a dead theologian. He says he quotes a lot of dead theologians. So it is that a man never stands in the same river twice, because the man has changed and the river has changed. So I continue to go back to those Wild at Heart retreats because I know I'm going to continue to get something else. Same reason I go to the mountain is that I'm always going to get something from God. God always wants to give us more.
He does. And when we are hungry, we never leave dissatisfied with the Lord. He meets us where we are. He speaks to us. And I love that we have so many great opportunities. I mean, we've been doing a study called Real Jesus around here for the last few years, and it culminates with an event on a weekend where people really take ground. We've been doing mountain trips for a very, very long time. You go to the mountain, you go asking, seeking, and knocking. Now we're incorporating Wild at Heart retreats, which I've known about for a long time, but never had been able to engage with. And now you and Jacob and others are spearheading this. It's another, what we don't have very much of in our culture are these like stakes in the ground moments where you go, that's the day, that's the weekend, that's the moment. Baptism is kind of like that. Baptism is like, I went under the water, I came out, I was washed clean, I was made whole by Christ. We don't have a lot of those. And so I think as men, we need those. I would just encourage you, when the opportunity comes up, and we're piloting this fall, but next year, when the opportunity comes up to sign up to do this retreat, or maybe you've never been on a mountain trip, or maybe you want to try this Real Jesus curriculum, Like, jump into something so that you can put a stake in the ground and say, I'm no longer going to be held back by that thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to learn how to forgive my dad for what happened in my life. I'm going to learn how to get free from this addiction or this bondage that's just been holding me back forever. Like, we need some strong stakes in the ground, some milestone moments where we change. And I think Wild at Heart can be a great opportunity for that. Yeah. Okay, here's how I want to finish this. You sent this to me, and I want you to read it. Okay.
Oh, okay.
This is a quote that you sent to me.
Yeah.
And I want you to read it because I love it, and then I want you to tell me why it meant a lot to you. So there it is.
Yeah. John Tyson puts it extremely well, and it's from a movie and a book that I think most guys love. It's from Lord of the Rings. But he's talking about in the category, and he's talking about churches. In the category of church men, we can be shire folk who sit around, have parties, drink tea, and have second breakfast. Or we can go on a quest to carry the One Ring into the fiery hell of Mordor. That's what I want now. Yeah. I'm tired of sitting on the sidelines. I don't want to be a man of no consequence.
Yeah.
I want to be a part of this war.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to take it to the evil one and shove it down his fiery throat, whatever it might be, and kick his butt.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at. Yeah. So I want to be in a fight that's with a guy that's standing next to me, that's got some scars, and he's got some battle wounds, and he's got a story to tell.
Yeah.
I want to cry with him. I want to laugh with him.
Yeah.
I want to just sit there and have great stories with him.
Yeah.
And that's what I look for.
Yeah.
I look for those kind of guys.
Yeah.
Who can I link shields with?
Yeah.
Who can I charge the gates of hell with?
Yeah.
Because that's what I want to do.
Yeah, and that's what Brotherhood's about.
Yeah.
You know, I've said many times, Brotherhood is not just a ministry at Church on the Move. It's a movement. It's a fraternity. Yeah. It is what the word is. It's a brotherhood of men, and we need that. And I love that at the end of that quote where he's talking about sitting around in heaven, telling tales of the battles that we fought, the adventures that we were on. I look forward to that too, and I love a lot of what John Tyson does. And this is just another plug for Forming Men. That's John Tyson's conference. It's going to be here. We're thrilled to be hosting him and Jefferson Bethke in February. Get your tickets for that. Get 4 other guys with you, and the price goes down by $50. And so this is something we're doing as a brotherhood, and tickets go on sale nationwide in October. And so I really want all of our brotherhood guys to get in before it sells out, because I think it probably will sell out. So get that ticket before October, and it goes on sale nationwide. Okay, we've taken enough time. This was good. Thank you, Matt, for saying yes whenever I said. And honestly, I've talked to quite a few guys too. I felt like this is one of our best breakfasts of the year. And here's why. Because I love having speakers come in from the outside. Yeah. I love having well-known people get up and share their story. But our conversation felt as brotherhood to me as it gets, because we are in this together, and we are in this with a bunch of you who are watching this. You are our brothers too. And so this is the heart of brotherhood, is us, and you and I do this regularly, iron sharpening iron, supporting one another, calling one another out, and making each other better. And that's what we hope for you. And so keep drawing closer to this brotherhood, keep drawing closer to the church, and see if it doesn't end up being not just a benefit for you, but a benefit for those who count on you. Man, thank you guys so much for watching this, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks. Looking at it weird.
That was fun, man.
Dude. Yeah.
That was great.